On this day in 1963, Tommy Gemmell made his Celtic debut. Tommy Gemmell came into the Celtic team for the first time on the 5th of January 1963, with the club still reeling from a disastrous 4-0 defeat at Ibrox in the New Year's Day fixture. The result wasn't the worst of it that day. At half-time, a row broke out in the dressing room between assistant manager Sean Fallon and Pat Crerand over criticism of Crerand's first-half performance and Fallon's instructions to go all out in attack in the second half, with Rangers at that point only 1-0 ahead. It was a run-of-the-mill half-time blowout that would have been forgotten as quickly as it began if not for the entrance to the dressing room of an appalled Bob Kelly. Fallon was something of a favoured son for Kelly, and Crerand found himself out of the team and barely a month later was shipped off to Manchester United, whether willingly or unwillingly. Reports are conflicting. With both regular fullbacks Donkey Mackay and Jim Kennedy injured at Ibrox and Frank Brogan suffering from flu, it was a very different Celtic side who travelled north that day, and both stand-in fullbacks, Gemmell and Ian Young, would go on to make the positions their own. Shearer Borthwick got Gemmell's name wrong in his Evening Times report that day, writing, "Ian Young came in at right back with debutant Peter Gemmell, formerly of Coltness United, at his elbow." Scotland was caught in the icy grip of one of the coldest winters ever recorded, with rivers and lakes freezing over, and matches in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Falkirk and Dundee were called off that day. The match went ahead at Pittodrie after a blanket of snow was scraped off and the ground underneath was found to be not too hard. Celtic lined up Haffey, Young, Gemmell, McNamee, McNeil, Price, Gallagher, Craig, Hughes, Divers, Chalmers. Aberdeen were unbeaten in 9 matches, but the Evening Times headlined its report, "New boys go goal crazy," as Celtic put their Ibrox disappointment behind them in some style. While Celtic were still playing in the classic WM formation, Aberdeen were now adopting the 4-2-4 pioneered by the great Hungarian side of the 1950s, and that would be utilised by Celtic after Jock Stein returned in the mid-60s. On this occasion, it was the old system that prevailed. After a cautious start, Celtic opened the scoring on 13 minutes. Borthwick wrote, "The Don's inside right, Allen, passed to Gallagher when he had all the time in the world to clear. The winger sized up the situation in a flash and put through a lovely ball. Although Ogston stopped Big John Hughes' first attempt, the Celtic centre caught the rebound, dribbled round the keeper and tapped the ball into the empty net." 6 minutes later, the game was already beyond Aberdeen when a defensive mix-up from a Steve Chalmers corner kick saw the ball fall into the path of Bobby Craig, who scored from 6 yards. Craig scored his second on 29 minutes, taking a pass from John Hughes, who had dispossessed a defender, and firing a low shot into the net. Hughes scored his second and Celtic's fourth on 34 minutes when he ran onto a defence-splitting pass from Billy Price, and although the keeper got his hand to the shot, there was too much power in it to keep it out. Shortly before half-time, John McNamee was almost knocked out, heading away a goal-bound shot from Allen. He recovered after treatment, and Celtic withstood an Aberdeen bombardment before the half-time whistle. Aberdeen pulled one back through Ernie Winchester on 66 minutes, but Celtic saw the game out comfortably. Norman MacDonald writing in the Aberdeen Press and Journal of the 7th of January 1963. Billy McNeil, the quiet man of the Celtic defence, fathered the young and comparatively untried Parkhead rearguard skillfully and successfully. The scoring was wrapped up when John Hughes completed his hat-trick on 82 minutes after being sent through by Steve Chalmers. Norman MacDonald picked out scorers Hughes and Craig as Celtic's best players. The burly centre-forward provided the height, weight and penetrative power, and Craig the finesse and skill. Tommy Gemmell did well enough to retain his place 3 weeks later when the severe winter weather finally allowed Celtic to play again in a Scottish Cup tie against Falkirk. He suffered a knee injury in that match and played only once more that season, but he was not to be kept out for long and became a regular starter in 1963-64.